All right, here we go.
We'd like to present Not Seen Before.
I think you want everybody to smoke weed.
Hey, this is Royce Gracie, and you're listening to the Inside BJJ podcast.
It was a shroom trip. That's racist.
I'm not a racist.
That's racist.
I'm not a racist.
This is Kurt Oceaner. This is Inside BJJ podcast.
God damn it!
Jiu-Jitsu sucks.
God damn it!
I think you want everybody to smoke weed.
Wow, Mr. Sarcasm.
This is Nacho Laranja, and you're listening to the Inside BJJ podcast.
What is up? Welcome to the Inside BJJ podcast. I want to remind you to give us a review on iTunes, give us a listen, give us a subscribe, and I really like the terrible reviews. I promise you, if you give me a terrible rating or a terrible review, I will most definitely read it on the podcast. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do. Hey, I want to jump right to our guest today. Good friend of mine, brilliant dude in the jiu-jitsu world. And there's a few people that, not just in the jiu-jitsu world, there's a few people in my life that when crazy shit happens or just things happen and I'm like, I don't know how to interpret this, there's a handful of people I'm like, I got to get this guy's feedback. And Tait, Fletcher, my friend, welcome to the show. You are definitely one of those dudes, man.
Well, right on, man. I'm honored. Thanks, dude. It's a crazy thing to be fumbling along right now, right?
Holy cow, dude. I mean, this is like, who saw this one coming, right?
I mean, I figured when I was a little kid, I was like, maybe martial law will be coming. You know, I could see like forces move and I go, nobody can withstand these guys if they come at you. But I just never thought martial law would come like this, but it seems like it's gaining steam. I don't know.
You know, it's it's such a big thing, at least in the United States, to accept this idea. Like, hey, when people would say, you know, that leads to martial law, and then most of the time it's like, right. Yeah, okay, whatever, not going to happen.
I've just never seen them shut it down. Like, press the pause button on all commerce. And like the Y2K was the last big thing I remember like that, Tim, where they were like, oh shit, the bottom's going to drop out and everything's going to stop. Yeah. And I just thought, the powers that be that make the billions of dollars, they're not going to press pause on the machine. But then here inside of a few days, they all press pause on the machine. I was like, for 1,000 people that died, I'm like, this seems fucking wild. And I must be so ignorant that I just don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
But I look at it now, we sit here day after day, and I'm like, I don't know what we're in the middle of, but I know that we're being withheld a lot from.
Yeah, I mean, it's I was talking to my wife last night and I said, you know, I feel like my thought process gets stuck in a loop, and it always starts with, oh shit, that's right, like we're all supposed to be under quarantine right now. And sometimes I kind of forget, like I'm just going through my day doing shit, then it's like, right. Oh yeah, this is what's going on right now. Then my mind starts going through this loop, and I always end up at, there has to be something else going on beyond just this. Like the whole world's locked down. Like
it's a trip. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
And I keep waiting because I'm in New Mexico right now, and I need to go to LA. And I'm like, what? Every day I wake up, I check and I go, is it still okay to drive from state to state, or are we doing interstate travel anymore in America? Because it feels like that's the next thing to lock down, right? Like. Yeah. And so it's weird. It's like every day unfolds into like, here's some new theories or ideas and where we're at. Yeah. I heard today that Como said that they're on the downturn now, that the deaths are starting to drop now.
Yeah, it's
so either we're really, really good at containing it, I guess, or I mean, fuck, I don't know.
I don't know either, man. So like I like to read everything, you know, like I like to, you know, read all the different opinions and get different input. And the problem that I'm having with it and trying to digest it is it's so heavily flavored for one side or the other that I'm like, I don't know if I should spit this out of my mouth or not. You know what I mean? I can't tell.
All I can go, like, I don't look both these guys, everybody looked, the one beautiful thing about this, what I felt right from the beginning, I still feel today, is this feeling of connection and community that people have. It's untold. We've never had this kind of a feeling of camaraderie, maybe after 9/11, but then we still had, we want vendettas. We want to get this motherfucker back, right?
Right.
Here, there's nobody to point a finger at. And so everybody is really coming together in a beautiful way that I haven't seen happen before in my life. And when I drive around now and I see everybody out it's like the healthiest country ever. Everybody's out with their dogs. Everybody's on walks and whatever. And it's like also everybody's very congenial. It's like, hey, how you doing? Everybody's very conscious and conscientious of one another in a way, because I feel like we got to band together in a different way than we've ever known, because we're looking at a real mystery, a real unknown of like, what will America be by November or by, and nobody can really say. I mean, they talk about the crash in the Federal Reserve. They talk all these crazy things, and fuck, who knows?
Yeah. And a part of me, a couple things. One is I do agree with you. It is nice to go out and see, people going on walks with their kids. You know what I'm saying? And like families together, spending time together.
A guy hit me up today. A friend of mine on Instagram, he says I had to apologize to my kids today. He said, because I've been spending so much time with them the last couple weeks, and it's been so great. It's this heavy feeling of being remiss previously when I didn't spend that much time with them. I felt a real regret about it. And it's like people are coming to like crazy and beautiful awakenings with this.
Wow. And that's the good part of it, right? Because you wouldn't do these things unless you were forced to. And it's almost the way the system's geared up. Another thing my wife and I were talking about is previous to this, I felt like I was hard, man. I was like, I'm up at 6. I'm listening to motivational tapes. I'm fucking like eating and running and like trying to get help. And because my day is like, it's packed, man. And if I don't stay on top of shit, it's going to run me over like a truck, So I felt like I was hard and I was like, let's go. And now I'm like, I don't really have anywhere to be. I think I'm going to go ahead and sleep 9 hours. I feel well rested. I feel well fed.
There's no road rage.
No.
Nobody's in a hurry to go anywhere. Nobody's late for anything.
Right?
That's a trip. It's a trip. It's a bummer. It is a bummer that, there's the camaraderie of jiu-jitsu and being with one another for jiu-jitsu is a thing that is like, it's like it's an addiction in a way that you become so accustomed to it that to have it withdrawn is like a void, and these are crazy mandates. I hope there's no more mandates. I hope there's no mandates ever where, we have to really draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not going to be mandatorily vaccinated with your made up fucking cure. I'm not going to do that. Or things of that. I hope that kind of evil isn't what ensues.
Yeah, I feel you, because it's you get to a point where I think the first week or so it was, I had a hard time dealing with it, because it's like, dude, I had to close my gym. I had to close this gym, and not just me, like all.
And that's what else you had to do,
right?
You had to keep paying rent at the gym,
right?
And it's like,
and I left a really good software engineering job, about a year ago, because the gym was doing so fucking fantastic. I was like, yo, this is it, man. I'm investing in myself. I'm going all in. And, so I had some trouble dealing with that at first. I was like, damn, I can't believe this. I feel like the carpet got pulled out from under me. But at the same time, I come to accept and realize this is everybody, right? And you got to accept what's happening. You're not going to be able to go back and change it. I guess what's tricky now is going like, based on the trajectory, like, where are we going? Where are we headed? Like, where is the destination going to be? And I don't know if anybody really knows.
I don't think anybody, nobody knows if there's a bioweapon, where exactly it came from. Nobody knows much about any of that. All I know is when I started thinking about that early on, when this first started happening, and I really started getting concerned, and not, I wasn't concerned that I was going to get the flu. I was really concerned that, I know what it feels like to live check to check.
Yeah.
And I know how important that is. And to know that like 2/3 of our brothers and sisters are in that position in America, and what happens in 10 days, you know, and that's fucking dire. And an idea of like a $1,200 bailout, it's almost insulting. It's like, I mean, like that's not helping. That's not a helpful position for us. You know, for 1 month, I mean, or something maybe. It's like, and so I look at it like that, and I started to get that kind of empathy, I guess. And what I think of with it is this little mantra that came and go, well, if everybody's fucked, is anybody fucked? Right. It's like everybody's smart, right? And so it's like there's this reductive quality about it. Like, like maybe a person goes out and they think I could drown, right? And but you look at it and you go, but all of us are not going to drown. And so you look at that and you go, maybe I will be in the number that does not drown, and maybe that'll be most of us, and all of that, and go, yeah, we're going to figure our way out. We just can't see it. And I feel like it's as kind of an agnostic, a different idea about faith, really. I don't need to know the mystery of the universe, of creation, of any of it. I don't need to know if I'm in a simulation or any of it, right? I have to play my part to the best of my ability. I have to control what's within my grasp, right? And so it doesn't. I gotta, whatever I can touch, administer the controls of, and make somebody's life better, my life better around me. That's what I got to focus on. All this other stuff about the unknowns, I've got to let go of, and that's where my faith is. Is that the universe is going to take care of me, man. I'm in the hands of the universe, man. Just because I can't see the big picture doesn't mean there's not a big picture. It doesn't mean that we're not going towards somewhere awesome. And you know, a friend of mine says, you know, God didn't bring you this far to drop you on your head. Yeah. And you know, I mean, it's a great idea to think about. Like I've always been safe and taken care of up to this point in my life.
Yeah. Right.
Am I not going to be tomorrow? Is the sun not going to come up tomorrow? You know, it's like,
yeah. I think, you know,
so I can't live in my fear, right? I got to live in where I can help.
Yeah, definitely. And in moments like these, I feel like, you know, when your head's not right all day, like I think it's hard to keep, you know, and even like you have the whole biological process happening inside of you, and circadian rhythms and the sun and the night, and it all has different impacts and affects your thought process. But, you know, for the most part, you realize that in situations like this, there is no control. Like there's nothing that I could personally do to go out and go like, if I could just be smarter or work harder or do this or do that, I can magically like solve it. It's not going to happen. And most of that comes out of this fear of losing my security. Like, you know, it's insecure. It's unknown. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I used to feel like I had my finances on lock. I had my budget on lock. I knew I was going to do this. I was going to do that. And now it's like, everything's kind of up in the air. Right. And so you have to go like, well, who am I as a person then? Because how am I going to live my life right now knowing that like my plans might all be canceled or put on hold? I don't know what they are. I don't know where I'm going to be in a month. Yeah. I don't know when jiu-jitsu's coming back. Who knows, dude? It can never come back. I don't know.
It's like to invest something. You don't want to invest right now. Like you're like, shit, I got to hold everything tight. Really, right. You know, is what it feels like to me. Like, you know, I don't know what's coming, but I don't want to be loose anywhere because fucking nothing might come for a while. Yeah, is what it seems like.
Yeah,
and you know, like I said, I don't want to live in that. And so what can I do? I go back into so who do I want to be, right? Well, I want to be stronger. It's always the right answer.
Right.
So what can I do to impact my strength and get better? So at the end of this, I'll be stronger. I want to be more well-read. I want to be more open-minded. And what do I do when I'm faced with a mystery? What do I do when I'm faced with discord or something? What I ought to do is pause. When I get into that spot, I need to stop. And what happens when I do that? I can breathe and I can get thoughtful and I can meditate about what this mystery is, because that's where ideas flow in. That's where God gives me nudges to go, you can look in this direction. You can, and without that, if it's me being frantic, all I have is noise.
Yeah.
And then I'm running in a circle. I'm more open to fear. I'm more open to all the tricks that they're playing on me. Right. You know, and so like yesterday I had a great day. I just drove up to buddies in the Rio Grande and got in the water that as it's running off the ocean or off the mountain, you know,
nice.
and freezing, fucking awesome. And I'm like, yeah, these are all, you know, I get to take advantage of life in a different way than I did a few weeks ago. But even that, man, I've been on hold kind of. You know, I got knocked out at work in June, and I was unconscious like 5 minutes. And
God damn. Wow.
And it was weird because it's almost like the shadow of all my previous concussions. I could feel them coming. And when that happened, I just went into this darkness kind of for all year. So I've been basically sitting home since last June and just recovering, you know.
Wow.
And it's not until the last month, 2 months, I guess, I started working out again, but like I just was like reduced, right? And so that's all I had was my breath. And I'll tell you, low key, when all this happened, I kind of felt better because that anxiety, like when you start to get better, like, and you're able to kind of be in the world more and you want to be, but maybe there's other parts of you that aren't healed that maybe you oughtn't be right now. And so that part pushes on me. Like, you're not doing enough. You're just sitting here. And it's like the other part's going, no, you're healing, just chill. But when everybody got put on hold, all that anxiety lifted off me. Because I'm like, oh, well, I'm not missing shit because nobody's doing it. I was like, oh, this is kind of, it's almost a relief.
Like the race got put on pause. Like,
yeah, right.
I think what this moment has done for us, it's done it for me, and I think it's doing it for some folks. Not everyone's maybe catching the message, but things like this give you a healthy dose of perspective, which is very easy to lose in life, you know, because we spend a lot of time not thinking about like finality or, you know, things like that, right? And then when something like this happens, right, and when something like this,
things of great consequence, it's important to be into that part of life.
Absolutely. Not that you should like dwell on it, because maybe that's a mistake too, but there has to be a balance. And I feel like when something like this happens, it's a healthy dose of like, hey, guess what, motherfucker? You're going to die someday. You know, like, what are you really doing with life? This close. Yeah, you just took a step a little bit closer, and it kind of makes you evaluate, like, what am I doing, man? And then you realize, like, getting out in the water, the nature, like being right out in it, this is just as meaningful as picking up a big fat paycheck, man, or being able to spend time with my kids. No, I wish, man. I'm not a surfer. I'm a Stockton boy, dude.
I don't do any of that very well. And but to be out there in the ocean like that, what you're talking about, there's a cleansing that happens when you're like, oh, but I'm at the lowest part of the food chain. I shouldn't be here, and I'm floating on a piece of foam or whatever. And just the life that's around, it's like, it's awesome. It's fucking. It's one of the best things to feel small and that in the true sense of the word, awe. To be in fucking awe of nature and your surroundings and fucking your friend, everything, to look for that everywhere, I think is that's where that's where I fight my depression. That's where I fight apathy. If I can get into that, I can really do myself a lot of favors.
Yeah. And you said something interesting when you said, you know, you sometimes you kind of have that feeling like I got to do more, like I'm falling behind. I got to get busy. And I like that. Like, I'm a hustler, man. I think like you got to work, you got to get involved, you got to put some time in. But that can be almost at a fault too sometimes, where it's like, dude, what about recovery? What about taking a step back and taking a look at the bigger picture? What about like kind of focusing on the inside a little bit, you know?
It's the same, I think, as when you're like, my finances were set, my job, like all my time schedule was set with the kids. And then and that's what I'm finding more and more, Tim, all the time is I just feel like, you know, we all know it's not the destination, it's the road, and all this fucking trivial bullshit that these people push on our fucking necks with a picture of their titties pressed together on Instagram. Anyway, one sec. Potential spam. How are they still calling me?
Dude, I just got into it with the dude who called me yesterday trying to do some bullshit, and I said, well, why are you calling me? And the dude got mad, and he's like, what do you mean, why am I calling you? You know why I'm calling you? I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Crazy.
Go ahead, man.
Dude, we got homeless folks on the corners asking for money, and I'm just like, you got a lot of balls right now. Like, nobody's working, bro. Fucking step down, take a couple days off. Give us a chance to.
They're out there hustling hard, huh?
But this thing about the steps and not the destination, until I got more perspective through years, I never noticed that, you know, because you fight to get to a place where it's like, you know, you're solvent in your job or in your money or whatever all your little markers are for your life. But then you think I'm balanced now because life is like this at first. And then you're like, oh, fuck, and then I go, no, Tait, it's just calm seas right now, man. Life is an ocean and that shit's it's always balancing. You're always attenuating the dials. It's like, and it never stops. And I kind of, even though knowing that trite saying, I kind of thought at some point you'd stop that part of it. It's like, nope, that's the whole game. It's just that balance. And it's just like, maybe you level up and the consequences get greater or the rewards get richer or whatever the thing is, but it's like, it's the same shit, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think it's the same shit for rich people or poor people. The decimal points are just in different places, but it's like people live outside of their means. And then, so everybody's reduced to this kind of small slice.
I mean, humans are humans, man. And I was talking to Stella about this, said, you know what, it'd be scary right now to be in a position where, let's say, you know, you got a lot of money or you're making a lot of money, but it's highly dependent. There's a lot of people that make a lot of money that are still not ahead. You know what I mean? Like they're still like robbing Peter to pay Paul. And when shit like this happens, they're in just as bad of a position is the dude that's making minimum wage. Like there's no bailout, man, at a certain point.
Think of all the touring comics that you know.
Yeah.
And, and so you go off and maybe making $500 a night when you do gigs at first or whatever. And then you're making thousands but whatever. It's like you're trying to make a living up to a certain point. And then if you're doing 20 a show or 50 or whatever your things are, it's like you still might be living check to check, like you're saying like that. And then they go, nope, we stop. And it's like, now you've always relied upon, I can go out and I can make 40 grand next weekend or what? Not now.
Right.
Or whatever the thing is, you know?
Yeah.
And so then I started looking at it, I'm like, who's unaffected? And it's like, everybody is. And so if everybody's fucked, is anybody fucked?
I say, yeah, it's like a video game where you have a life meter, you know, and you could have like 100% or 50 or 30, whatever, it goes up and down there. And it's like the creators of this game said, we're going to, on this day at this time, we're going to kick every character in the nuts. Everyone's going to get a nut kick and they're going to lose like 40% of their power. So if you only had 20%, this is like, boom, you just got knocked off the board. If you're at 100, like maybe you're at half now, right? So it's pretty
I read
tricky.
a stat that one out of 10 restaurants won't reopen.
Yeah.
They're already done.
I mean, some are done already.
You know, one week of not having revenue in a restaurant, in any small business. I mean, fuck, man. Fuck.
Right. Gyms, say everything. I mean, churches can't meet. People do going to church on Zoom now. It's like, what? Yesterday, me, both of my teenage sons, and my wife, we all had Zoom meetings at the same time.
I mean, it's a new world of connection, right? It's crazy. It is crazy.
We are truly now. This is, I mean, the internet age has been here for a while, but we're truly now in a position where, like, America, at least, and in the rest of the world for sure.
It's like Black Friday numbers.
Yes.
That people are doing, you know? And I'm like, how crazy that everybody just lost their...
I think there's no real solid answers. You know, I had listened to an audiobook over the winter called Man's Search for Meaning. It was written by Viktor Frankl. He was in a concentration camp, you know, and he talked about finding meaning in, like, you know, there was a point where, like, people are on the train and they kind of had their stuff and they're like, we think, like, I'm still a doctor, you're still a scientist, you're still a jiu-jitsu black belt owner, but whatever. But then it got to a certain point where it was like all that shit was stripped away, and now they had to find new meaning. Like, hey, what is the meaning of my life? What am I going to do today? Like, what's important to me today? And it gets small depending on obviously those are dire circumstances, and I'm not comparing me being in my house to him being in a concentration camp, but the idea is the same. You might be stripped away from things you identified with. I'm a this, I'm a that. This this adds to my stature in some way or another, and that might get stripped away. And then you got to go like, well, what the fuck am I really? You know, without all those things,
and
what am I really?
What Viktor Frankl is talking about in that also is like a big part of that is like when you're looking at a horrific life, a horrific existence, what is it that keeps you going on? Why do you not die? Why do you take another step each day? And that's the puzzle he's solving, because he's under this fucking constraint that, and nobody, anyway. Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff. Yeah.
Crazy. Really amazing. Mandela talks a lot about that too in prison. About how you could change my body, but not my mind, and the freedom that he found there and the transformations within. I mean,
it's very interesting.
This is the trip.
In the age of celebrity, it's crazy, dude, because, I feel like in the celebrity world, there's people that are really concerned. They really seem like decent people. I have no fucking clue. Who knows, right? But then there are some other more obvious ploys where you're like, damn, this dude's or this girl or who the fuck ever, they're still out there trying to get that attention, because they're like, dude, I don't know how am I going to get paid again? Like you're saying, there's a lot of comedians out of work. There's a lot of people involved in show business that are completely out of work, right? There's nothing going on.
And this is going to push innovation. Yeah. This is going to push innovation like crazy. I mean, you put a big fucking cork something, shit's going to come out other places.
Yeah.
And that's happened with masks, with intubation systems. Like people are bringing up do-it-yourself stuff. Small companies are repurposing their shit so they can help the country. It's like there's been that kind of pull, and that hasn't happened, I don't think, since World War II, where people got together like that in their companies to try to push towards, oh shit, we need gowns, we need masks, how can we help?
That part of
we've never been so together.
In that part of what's going on gives me hope, because when I see that, I go, fuck yes, Team Human. Like you got, this is it. This is what it's about, being able to reconfigure and adapt. And there will be lots of innovation. And I'm also thinking this artistically. I think we're going to see a great influx of pretty amazing things in the art world come out.
Of rappers.
Right.
Covita's Way rappers.
Right? We're going to see a lot of cool shit.
I can't wait till the first. There's going to be a DJ Covita that comes out anytime now. I just know it.
I mean, I'm like, what is Kanye doing right now? That's what I want to hear. Right? What kind of movies, what kind of books, what kind of literature is going to come out of these moments, out of this time?
See what OJ said the other day?
No, what did he say?
He tweeted that he thought Carol Baskins probably killed her husband.
The fucking Tiger King hit it perfect, dude. Right?
Uh-oh.
Everybody's at home, right? Everyone's at home, and then the Tiger King pops on Netflix, and here you are.
I don't know anybody that can see it.
Dude, it's amazing, right? Carol, you say Carol Baskin, I know immediately who you're talking about.
I mean, who knew? Yeah, it's amazing. We sent coffee to, there's a guy that reached out to us, and who's the older dude that has like the commune of women and tigers, ponytail, real paunchy.
Yeah, I'll look up his name.
So he's got a son named Tarzan or something like that that's in Florida. And he had our beans, and he has monkeys also there that made our ground coffee and poured it. And it was pretty awesome. Those guys and their animals are a trip. I had no idea how deep that was, that you could just have any kind of fucking animal you wanted. In America, this seems insane that a bunch of hillbillies have fucking 2,000-pound tigers. See how fat that one tiger was? And granted, I know you would want a fat tiger around. I wouldn't want a lean one that was predatory.
Yeah.
I'd want a big fat one with titties that looked like it was at McDonald's all the time.
Right.
But holy fuck.
Yeah, dude.
A bunch of toothless crystal meth addicts with tigers and lions.
And in guns, and not I'm not anti-gun at all, but goddamn, they were free with those guns. They're just shooting them off like anywhere, man.
When he comes up at first and he's got the gun and the camera's here, and he goes boom, boom, and he shoots right in front of it. They can't be ready for that. I'm like, this is the biggest dick move I ever saw. For sure, you get asked for that.
Man, it's like, dude, you're loose with your gun, bud. Like, you gotta calm the fuck down, dude. Like, holster that shit. Yeah, the stat that came out of that really surprised me was that there are more tigers in the United States than anywhere else in the world. And I started thinking,
yeah, I remember Rogan told me a long time ago, he goes, more in captivity just in Texas than everywhere in the wild. Just in the state of Texas, more in captivity than everywhere in the wild.
So let's say these tigers start breeding. COVID is like, and then they get out, right? And they just fucking
There
roaming.
was a crazy guy talking about that in the United Kingdom. He wanted to reforest because he said that lions used to roam through the United Kingdom, and he wanted to renaturalize the area and bring them back.
Yeah.
Fucking insane people. I want to bring a monster into the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like I'm still on, I'm still on the people side. You know what I mean? Like I love animals. I don't hate animals,
Right,
but like
totally.
I don't,
Totally.
I don't.
Totally.
There's a reason why we walled cities were built in the first place is to keep the goddamn monsters out first. Yeah, that's some pretty wild stuff, man. Who knows where things could go or what they could turn into, but that really would be. Talk about going backwards in time, having to actually worry about being attacked by a wild animal while you're just kind of out. Talk about, people like have this super fear of like pit bulls. Pit bulls will be considered mild if tigers are out chilling. Fuck, dude. That's wild.
You figure most people that bow hunt, they bring a large caliber handgun with them. And it's not to shoot deer, right? It's because there's fucking cat. If I put something down, there's scavengers that come. Like there's everything. It's like better to have one than not need it, than need it and not have it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I don't want to be around a bunch of wild animals like that.
I was checking out. Greg Fitzsimmons was on Joe Rogan recently, and he was talking about a trip he and his wife and their kids made. I think it was South Africa. I want to say he was saying somewhere. And they were on some tour, and there was a guide, and they were checking out all these baboons. And the guide said, "Hey, you hold your son," because he had a son with him. He said, "If you put your son down, they're gonna take your son from you. Like they're gonna snatch him up." I was like, "Oh shit, bro! Like, god damn."
That's too real. Yeah, that's too real.
I feel like I
hear
should
about that though. The people that are farmers and stuff, and they put their babies down, and all of a sudden a lion or a monkey or whatever comes up and grabs their.
That's got to be one of the worst possible things. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, switch.
Hey, are they really going to do the UFC?
Well, that's what I was going to talk to you about, man. UFC 249. They're saying they're going to do it closed door, man. Tony and Justin Gaethje.
Did he buy an island? Is that what it is? He's got an island he's going to do it on?
Well, this is the other thing that I came up on, which I think is pretty nutty. But basically, this is Dana White's talking about buying an island where he can do UFC fights. And the idea is that I guess you can't bring international fighters in right now into the United States. So he wants to buy an island. This was reported on TMZ, and then have these fighters flown to this island and then do the fights there, I guess. So I just think right now it's like I love Dana, but dude, I don't want to be a guy buying any islands right now. Like island owners kind of have a bad
he could probably get Epstein's really cheap.
No shit, right? And there's probably a plane available, right? Get it all, snap it up, man. But
that's another thing I got to ask you. What do you know? You hear? I mean, I know you got your ear to the ground in Stockton. Why so many high-level elite celebrities have COVID? Dude, because I don't know anybody really personally. I know one person that's in New York, but other than that, it's like, what's going on? I mean, talk about if you wanted to have a PR agent, you would get those people to endorse you.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The thing you say, I mean, I look at all sides of it, man, because I ask around, and I don't know anybody who has it. I only know stories of people who know people who have it, right? I don't know anyone personally, and obviously some people have it. I'm not trying to minimize that.
I know a nurse that is in Manhattan, right? And she works at 2 different hospitals, and she got it. And I'm going to read what she wrote me, what it was like, because so. She says, patients are dying from a viral attack to the lungs, which she talks about what it looks like. Having had it myself, it isn't flu-like. She says, I've had flu A and B this year, and this presented itself much differently. I can see why one would think that it's possibly bioterrorism on a universal scale, because look what it's done. China's back doing their thing after only 3 months of this. Also, a concern is that we cannot figure out a treatment to make these patients any better, which adds to the theory of bioterrorism. One thing I've noticed is that the Hispanic community has been the hardest hit in both of the hospitals I work at, and the hospitals are in 2 different counties. So she's seen people die in the hospital and all that, I guess, and then she was sick, and now she's back at work, and they're thinking that there's immunity because she's already had it, but they kind of don't know either. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess when you talk about the virus itself and the origin of it and what it's doing and how it works, it's still a mystery. And I feel like if there was a trusted source somehow that could confirm, like, hey, this really came from bats, or no, this actually came from this laboratory, or, you know, what's the deal with this?
And there's a big, huge laboratory that deals with viruses in Wuhan.
The same goddamn city.
That's part of the thing. And I mean, the idea of it, like, did this float from bats to chinchillas to humans or whatever, seems insane, versus this is something that somebody made, disseminated to some of their people to see how it worked, because they don't give a shit about people. Shit, they've got priors for killing tens of millions of their own people.
Yeah, right.
And maybe somehow directed it somewhere. I mean, it's like, is there that? I mean, I know that, and I understand how crazy all that sounds, but I'm like, that sounds way more plausible to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
and I don't know what's to be done about that. How do you fight a war like that? Like, I would think that you don't buy into it and you continue to keep your people at work. Brazil's president came out and said, I'd rather have my people, some get sick from the flu than all of them starve to death because they can't work. We're going to stay working in Brazil. And I was like, that's, I mean, I don't know.
I wonder what happened during the Spanish flu, in the sense that they didn't even have antibiotics. Like, they didn't have, like, good testing. They didn't have anything. They just put masks on and fucking figured it out. And it didn't kill them all. It killed a lot of people, but humanity survived. It recovered and it moved forward. And obviously,
but it's the same thing. I mean, because it's a virus, right? And so the antibiotics don't matter. Like, and there's antivirals and stuff, but none of them work for the flu or for anything that we've seen that's novel. Anything that has been, which probably won't come back, we have a solve for. But anything from present forward, we don't. And so it seems crazy to me. They all seem crazy to me. All these flu vaccines, and then if this does come up where you have to get vaccinated, there's fucking no way, man.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, we've got so many priors in America for poisoning our own people through the pharmacological system. I'm just not interested in being a participant in a brand new beta test of, like, what kind of cancer can we give the American public, or what kind of brain deadening instrument is it, or what?
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And I wouldn't say that I'm anti-vaccine, but I am highly suspicious of the federal government and anything that's mandated that people must do. I'm just suspicious of it. You can call me ignorant. Yep. You can say I don't know what I'm talking about, and maybe I don't, but you know, I don't think I'm a dumb person, dude. Like, I've gotten a lot of shit done. I can figure shit out. Like, I'm not, you know, I'm learning to trust myself in these things.
Well, and you're thinking about both sides of things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is like, to be open to being like, I could be wrong. Anyway, I'm looking for answers, but I'm just feeling out what it's, you know, and I think that's the mark of it, is because we won't know, and nobody, you know, we talk about the unknown of this. Nobody will know until years from now, in retrospect, what this cost us, where it came. Like, we're just not going to know for a while. We're in that mystery as well. And to suppose now also, like I said, it doesn't help me a lot. And so I just want to kind of have those things in my head and be wary. And I want to go, I'm not an anti-vaxxer in any kind of way, but all this shit, I'm real suspicious of, and I won't take part in it, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's your right. It's your right to be that way, and there needs to be more Americans who are that way and don't get. Unfortunately, there's a lot of shaming and a lot of pressure now, social pressure and social shaming. If you don't conform or you don't accept a particular idea behind this, then suddenly, like, you're a nut job, you're crazy. And then the one I truly can't stand is, there's blood on your hands. If you don't, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, like really? These hands?
We're in a high school play.
I know. It's so, overly done.
And we're all just trying to figure it out. We all got it. And that's the nice time is everybody's breathing, taking some deep breaths and being a little more conscientious of others because we nobody knows. And it's just like when people talk about God, the people that are telling me that they know, I know that they know the least.
Yeah,
right. I believe that there's these mysteries that govern us, and people that are pretending to know, I already know that they're the ones not even exploring it.
Yeah,
and the rest of us sit in a kind of wonder and go, it could be this, it could be that, but at the end of the day, you've got to be aligned with the mystery.
Yeah,
that's all that's left.
There's a lot of dudes who wear special, uniforms, special hats, special regalia, and that's supposed to symbolize their connection with the higher being and that they have some source of information. But it's like, dude, all bets are off, man. You came out of the womb just like me, and you're going back to the dirt when it's over. So it's hard pill for me to swallow that one guy has all the answers like that, or a group of guys,
Right. Well, and that's what makes, I think, the vaccine debate so upsetting is because it's so multifaceted. A lot of people are against it for different reasons, but one of the reasons I think that you ought to question it is to put mercury into your body, which is the basis for a lot of those vaccines, is maybe not such a great idea. And to do it to babies en masse is a real poor idea. So to stretch those out over time. But if we're not even going to have talks about how something is maybe not so great for you, but it's been status quo, so we can't talk about it. It's like, well, fuck, how do we develop to get any better if we're not allowed to be critical of the things that aren't working for us? It's like Copernic or something else. He's not allowed to be critical that there's fucking racism in America and people shit on him for taking a knee and they want to conflate that and mean that he's against America in some way. It's fucking ridiculous how people can't keep two ideas in their mind at the same time and fucking walk through life without exploding. It's fucking man. It's insane.
Yeah,
but it's like that same kind of thinking.
You're right. There's a lot of that in it. There's a lot of people claim free speech is my free speech, but it seems to be only your free speech when it's shit you agree with and shit you want to say. And then once you have to see the dichotomy in that is that somebody might say something you don't want to hear. And you have to respect that, and you have to allow that to be protected. And you should protect that as well, because if they could stop them from saying that, they could stop you from saying that. And that's, I think this leads back to the whole concern that you're saying is man, if they can mandate that we all stay inside our house, if they can mandate that I have to close my business, then they can mandate that I can't go outside on Wednesdays, or they can mandate that I'm only allowed to use Google. I'm not allowed to use something else, or who the else fucking knows,
Mm-hmm. Well, and the real tragedy, I think, is when you talk about the work and people's works, their small businesses, it's their life work. And so you can mandate that that this is just a sieve that money is going to suck through for an indefinite amount of time, and I can't service it as the curator of this business or of this baby that I built or whatever. And fuck, if they're right, I'm totally down, and what a great thing to be socially distanced. But Jesus Christ, man, it doesn't appear that way, and it seems like I just want to know what the greater good is in it,
Yeah.
Is it our helping in some way that we don't know about?
Unfortunately,
and I believe that too. I believe a big part is if this is natural, it seems like this is the earth going, you know what? I'm going to give you some back now.
Yeah, chill the fuck out. Yeah,
you're gonna have to end this out. And also, it's like what you said earlier, is that it forces every conscious mind on the planet to think about things in a way they're more consequential.
Yeah.
If you cough on your grandma, maybe she dies in the worst way you've ever heard. Fuck, man. And to have that settle into people that I'm responsible for my breath.
Yeah.
Is kind of a beautiful meditation kind of exercise en masse that's occurring kind of, low key.
Yeah. In mass, you're right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And it's hard for us.
But we're conscious.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's hard, I think, for society to see themselves through the lens of history, because you don't have hindsight at all. And so sometimes when you're in it, you define it and you view it and you perceive it as one way, but 100 years from now, people are going to look back and they're going to highlight things and see things that we're not even really paying attention to yet. And the scary part of that is, what is the impact going to be of my kids not going to school for 6 months now and it's all online, or, me having to close my gym.
More intrinsically, what's it going to cost myself? Who will this form my character into becoming?
Yeah.
Will it form my character into becoming less trustful? Will it form my character into becoming more compassionate? Well, I get to direct how I end up out of this.
Yeah.
As far as a spiritual being, right? I get to be conscious of that. Don't, it's like when I work at a nightclub, I got to a point after, I don't know, it was probably 10 years. And I just got to a point where it was like so much us and them. I was like, I don't want to see my fellows as them.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in that. And I was like, oh, okay, you got to get out of this job, because it's changing me.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, that's the thing for me to beware of, is like, how is the changing temperature of the water around me going to alter me if I'm not aware and careful and embolden myself into other directions?
Yeah.
I think that's the question that I'm thinking about for a little while.
Yeah, it's important. It's like it's a question of accountability for your own thoughts and your own influences, right, and how it affects 100%. You. Yeah. Yeah. That's tricky, because we generally talk about accountability and we only talk about it in terms of behavior. You got to be accountable for what you did after the fact. And now we're living in a time where it's like, I got to be accountable for what's coming inside my ears right now. What I'm putting in my brain.
I got taught a long time ago, if I'm not taking care of my thought, come as a depressive person since from way back, whatever. But these guys that really started to make an impact on my life, they started talking about things like that. And they started talking about, you're not maybe responsible for the first thought, but what you do after that with that thought, that's your fault.
Yeah.
You got to own that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you don't have to tease that thought. And so if you're not going to be a master of your own thinking, and whether you can only hold one thought at a time ever, it can be positive or it can be negative. And the more thoughts I have one way or another, as is my life, right? But if that's the thing and I'm not watching my thoughts, it's easy to get depressed. Because if I just look at the bad in the world, if I'm not conscious about looking towards what I want to see, then I'm going to see whatever it is I'm thinking about. And if it's just poor me and it's this and that, that's all I'm going to see. And then my life is pretty dark. And then I'm depressed. But if I start controlling my thinking, I can have happier times, because my thinking will bleeds into my emotions. And then that's how I act in the world.
Right.
Or morose and shitty, or like a vibrant person that's helpful and useful to my community.
Yeah. And it becomes self-feeding in that pretty soon you start developing a selection bias where you only start paying attention to things that make you line up with that feeling and that behavior. Yeah. Which is, then you're single-minded.
I remember when Instagram first started, and I thought one of the cool things about it was stuff would pop up, or people pop up that I didn't know about, or it'd be a new idea in my purview or something. And then after they start watching your algorithms, it's like the same fucking loop of stuff. Like you got to be like, it's a trip. We got the internet and we only got 2 channels.
Yeah, man. I was talking to my kids about that. I told them, I miss the internet from 1999, because I remember that internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the wild fucking West internet, dude.
It was so hopeful back then.
It was great, dude. It was great. It was awesome. You could still get what you needed to get, and there was less of an influence to steer you one way or another in your thinking. It was you were in control of it.
That didn't exist.
You had to go find it. You had to research it. You had to know what was up. It wasn't some company or some group kind of like pushing you down an angle. And unfortunately, it feels like
there wasn't, when you type your search in, there wasn't just the paid for advertising. It wasn't stuff got buried. There weren't those things back then. There weren't shadow bans.
None of that shit.
Yeah.
It was awesome. That was the
what a ride watching this life change, huh? Watching the arc of it bro. What a trip.
I mean, I'm
It's
going to
really
be,
crazy.
I'll be 42 in May, and I feel like I'm fortunate in that I grew up in a world that was pre-internet. You know, like
Yeah.
I didn't get the internet till college. I was like, what? This is awesome. Like, this
Yeah.
is cool. It was fun. But I remember life before that. And it's like, that's the divide, man. There's people that they don't even know what life was like without this, without the steering.
Yeah, I'm from the skin world, and this is all like the fit world. It's a trip.
Yeah. It's crazy,
It's a
huh?
trip. It is.
Right. And
Imagine that when you were a kid. If there were, what was the equivalent when we were kids of an internet troll that would woof a bunch of shit but never say nothing in real life?
man, I don't know if they had him, do you?
I don't know if that existed. That might be a new role of
Yeah.
pussy that has just come up just because of the anonymity of the internet. That's what I like more about the internet, is that it's less and less anonymous.
Yeah.
It's like there's less room. It's like, and it goes back to that responsibility thing. I think if you allow an organism to exist without responsibility or accountability, people can just be. You could get some horrible, horrible results from that. But when everybody has to own their words and what they've said and who they like, that's a different kind of discourse that we can have on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
When people are responsible in a way.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of new people. We got to wait for the new ones to get older, and then the problem is there's always more new people.
It certainly is a wild time, but at the same time, you know, I wouldn't pick any other time, man. I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad that I'm on this rock. I'm glad that I have this
Go
time.
for it.
You know, it's fucking beautiful, and it's perfect, and I'm supposed to be here at this time right now. I wasn't meant to be. People go like, dude, I wish I would have just like been born and raised in the 40s or the 50s and like, you know, whatever. No, man, like it wouldn't have worked. Like I had to be here right now. And so whatever my role to play is, like, I think it's my job to find that and to play it to the best of my ability. It's just,
Same.
It's just goddamn tricky being a human, you know, you know what I mean?
There's no playbooks really.
No, dude, there's not.
Well, there are, but they're from a lot of different books, and you got to get a lot of. Just takes some time.
Yeah, you got to be.
And then,
You got to be invested in it. You have to have skin in the game, and you want to be an independent thinking. I think right now, independent thinking is probably the best skill set it's the best thing you could have, is to be able to take information and make a decision based on it without too much outside influence. It's almost a lost thing now amongst people. Like some people still have it. There's really intelligent people that can't think independently anymore, which it kind of sucks, right? So you get stuck in these echo chambers, and there's a bunch of them now on the internet. There's a bunch of echo
people
chambers.
don't know. I think it's part of this post-truth era
Yeah.
that we're in.
Post-truth.
And I
That's a
think
great
that
way to put it.
People don't know what to believe any longer, and so that when they go look into something, they'll find very believable information from what looks like a wonderful source, probably an Ivy League college professor or something, and then there's the contrary to that out there also.
Yeah.
And, like, you have these fucking battling factions that are usually going for some kind of corporate interest,
Right.
which is down the road behind it, but it's hard to know what to think. So, I mean, yeah, that independent thinking, I don't know, listen to everything and know that everything you're listening to is being given to you by the same people. These oppositional voices that you're being given are coming from the same guy back here, right? It's the same entity that controls our whole system.
Yeah.
It's so fucking clear. And this ridiculous kind of construct of our government is now put us in this position where, are we now so deep in the upside down because all we do is give money? We have lobbyists that take money. They're just bagmen.
Yeah.
From corporations to politicians. So, like, as a citizen in America, to feel disenfranchised, well, that's where we are.
Yeah.
Because we've been sold up, right? And so, does this shake that up? Is this a solution that we don't even know because we're only looking through it from the perspective that we're in right now? So, this could be a lot of beautiful things too. I gotta leave room for all of it because I don't know.
Yeah, it's easy to make room for all the bad shit. It's easy to make room for that in your thinking, and like, this is going to happen, because that's survival thinking. That's how am I going to eat again?
Yeah.
How am I going to breathe
I
again?
got to know the worst case.
Yeah.
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 If worst case is we could end up in the water, I need to know how to swim.
Right.
So
right.
I should forecast that. I can't, like you were saying earlier, I can't live in that. I don't need to live in that headspace.
Yeah, it's too much. I think there's a difference between being panicked and being prepared. You know, like, and right now, like what I'm telling my students, because we're doing some like online classes, and it's not the same shit. Like, yeah, we all get that, you know. But life
Gotta be hard, huh? How are you doing that?
Fuck, dude. Like, you know, we built some grappling dummies.
Somebody helps you on your end?
Yeah, we do it through Zoom. So they jump in, and my idea now is like, hey, you're limited in what you can do. So instead of trying to do a big variety, we're going to go deep on like 4 or 5 things. And we're hoping that, let's say we come back in 3 months from now, that we are really fucking good at those 4 or 5 things. We just went super.
Can you imagine 3 months from now? We're just talking easily about, just 3 months from now, we'll just, wow, what a trip.
I know. That's how far we're projecting shit out. Right. But I'm telling
is there a mandate in California right now for how long?
The mandate.
I just heard that still was the 30th of April.
The 30th of April too. Yeah, here as well. Yeah. So, you know, and who knows? Like I know Mayor Garcetti down in Los Angeles is saying like it's going to go into June or July down there. So who knows, you know. But I'm telling people, like, life has us under mount. Like, we're mounted right now. A heavy mount, dude. Like, fucking the heaviest motherfucking dude that's ever mounted you. And he has good mount control. And he's wanting you to panic, right? He'd love you to panic and to freak out so you can fuck up and get tapped, right? And we can't panic right now. We got to chill, man. We got to be good stewards of what we're doing.
And could it be this, is that he couldn't even tap us, but he wants to induce panic because the panic is what will suffocate you.
Yeah.
Your own panic. You know, like he won't even be culpable of doing it. Your own panic destroyed you.
Yep. I mean, hey.
Yeah, what a lesson. What a beautiful lesson, man.
In jiu-jitsu, you've been in the game. You've probably done that before. I've smoked people out. I've cooked people. Yeah. And I've been cooked. You know what I mean? So So what do you got to do, man? You got to stay calm. You got to make space. You got to get some frames, get a little support, start working your way out. It's the only way. The
Don't be extended. Don't be extended.
Yep. Tricky shit, Tait. I really appreciate you jumping in,
brother.
man. You're one of my favorite people in the whole world, dude.
Thank you.
It's always good to see you.
I want to hear some jiu-jitsu gossip from you.
Oh, dude.
What's going on? What's on the front page?
Here's the front page. The big deal right now is a lot of the jiu-jitsu world is turned on Gordon Ryan and Gary Tonin and Tom DeBlass. And Danaher is awfully quiet, but he's starting to pick up some residual hate now because these guys are asking. I mean, you know, they have a different approach, obviously, but they're basically kind of taking the mindset of, hey, this is some bullshit. My gym is closed, but right down the street, there's Home Depot and there's 300 people inside, you know, which they kind of have a point. And I think maybe the way they express their point ruffles some feathers, but it's 2020 and that kind of behavior gets rewarded, you know, and it's worked for Gordon Ryan being outlandish and being out there. I mean, I've talked to all those guys personally one-on-one multitudes of times. I've hung out. They're not bad dudes. They're chill dudes, you know, but there's a certain part of their persona they dial up on the internet, I think, that helps them, you know, pick up some publicity. And
I don't think, I don't think of Gordon Ryan as his Instagram character.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? That's not who he is to me, right? Like, and I appreciate the character.
Yeah.
But those are different people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that a lot of folks have lost sight of that. So they're pissed at him and they're calling him, you know, there's blood on your hands because you don't want to close your gym or, you know, all that shit. And Keenan out here on the West Coast, Keenan was the first guy to close down. And Keenan kind of put it out in a way that I think could have made other jiu-jitsu schools look bad if they didn't follow suit. And that was, I think, where some of the beef is like, well, fuck you, Keenan. You're not the jiu-jitsu cops. You know, like, you don't get to decide for everybody, but the Reddit jiu-jitsu world is kind of...
He does get to decide what his conscience tells him.
Absolutely.
And maybe he's saying it in that way because maybe it speaks to somebody else in a perspective they hadn't thought of. And listen, at the end of the day, it's like this. It's like, I remember I held back from a guy, like I wanted to tell him the truth about his character, and I never got a chance to. And then I never saw him again, and he ended up dead. And after that, I thought maybe I could have changed his course had I been honest with him. When you talk about like what's the responsibility of being honest with others, it's like it's a guy I know. I could have maybe something could have impacted his life in a different way if people would have been honest with him all along.
Sure.
And yeah. So I guess my thing is like I don't want to be in a jiu-jitsu gym, because even if a student then goes home and they've got a kid and that fucking kid dies of COVID or some fucking thing, as far off a chance as that is, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Like if the thing is that downstream 2 weeks from now, they isolated where the hive of sickness was and it came out of my gym. Oh, right. Fuck, man. Be mortified. Like and so I can't undo that. And this is a way I can avoid a wreck. Cool. And like I said, if everybody's fucked, then nobody's fucked. And the thing that I don't want to do is put my license at risk, because I do know that the state police have gone to other gyms around my area anyway. And they said, we'll pull your business license.
Right.
If you're open tomorrow. Fuck. So if you really, you want to play ball in America, you got to go by the king's rules.
Yeah, you do.
And if the king is saying that, and you go against it, well, there's going to be a price to pay probably. And so, regardless of what side of the fence you're on with that stuff, it's like, be careful of your community, but also be careful of your future livelihood. Yeah. Because in 3 months from now, who knows? And is it going to make a revolutionary change if you keep your doors open? No, you just look like a privileged dickhead.
You look like
it's kind of the way it looks,
Yeah. I certainly understand the hesitation from a gym owner who's making his livelihood, who maybe is looking at his books and goes, I can't afford to be closed for 4 weeks. Like, I'm like that restaurant that can't go a week without service. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I get the reluctance. Is like, damn, dude. And I get it when people feel like, well, I got to close, but like the liquor store can stay open. It's
crazy,
like, damn, dude, like jiu-jitsu is better than the liquor store. But at the same time, the reason we closed early is because, I didn't want to be responsible for getting somebody sick. And then some bullshit happens. And it's like, 8 people out of this gym got it.
The other thing is, you feel how you feel about it, but who in your community feels how about it? And then after this is all over, do you have a bunch of people that are sour enough that they keep woofing your name as somebody that didn't comply with this, and then that ruins your business? And who knows? I think it's just like, it's a time, like I said, to pause and to look around and breathe and take it in and go, okay, something's happening to us right now.
Yeah.
And if you just want to go frantically along your day and not look at that at all, you're lost then. Like, you got to reconfigure your thinking.
Yeah, no,
because there's something else afoot.
Yeah, no, you're for sure. You're right about that. And like talking about being independent, but you still, like you're saying, you have to realize your actions are not independent. You're not in an independent world. You're in a system of dependence, and it's all built in. And whether you like it or not, if you have a business, you're dependent on the general public, like, patronizing your business.
It's the number one rule of Darwin when you talk about it's cooperation. It's like, we have to cooperate with one another. Like that's the root of our strength.
Yeah.
That's who we are. And so, I think that's the thing to look towards. What side do I want to err on the side of compassion and community, I think.
Yeah, and so for situations like this, I think you're right. Now, if it comes out to like heavy mandates, then I go, well, what side do I want to err on that? You know what I mean? Like, if I got to put something in my body. And I'm going, where are these guys all going to go? What state are they going to go to just punt and live on the land? Because that's where I'm going to. Yeah, right.
I mean, it's because like if something like that happens where I just can't imagine how crazy that would be.
It would.
I mean, I think in America, fucking go ahead and try to vaccinate Tim Kennedy.
Yeah.
Dude, it's going to be fucking nuts.
That'd be a reality show right there. They go in and try to, instead of Dog the Bounty Hunter, it's like Dog the Vaccine Giver.
That would be a crazy job if you just had to sneak up on people like in bars or at parks or whatever, and just fucking unbeknownst to them, that's your government job to just go stab people.
You've been
You'd
vaccinated.
be more hated than the parking lot people, the people that would get parking citations.
It's like when you serve people for papers, you've been served. You got to slide up on them. You've been vaccinated. It's pretty wild times, man. I don't know, I don't know what the answers are, but yeah. So that's part of the jiu-jitsu stuff going on, the rumors and stuff. There's some other like bad news going on out of the De La Riva camp. Like he's getting a lot of news about potentially like some sexual misconduct, and it sucks, dude. I hate it when this shit happens, and I'm not an expert on it, but I hate it. I love jiu-jitsu, and so I hate it when this happens, and I always feel like, dude, if somebody did something inappropriate like that, go to the fucking cops. Like, go to the cops and get his ass in trouble. It drives me crazy when I feel like it's just on social media, Yeah.
It's tough to comment on that. All that stuff happens. You put men and women together, there's going to be fucking
every time.
I mean, it's like, and so it's like sex and finding balances and boundaries with sex. I think it's a thing that every room in America goes in and has to rebalance as soon as a new integer is inside it. It's like, and it goes back to the original rule of like, have to be 100% responsible to myself right now in the present moment. I can't do something now and then feel bad about it and call it something else later.
Yeah.
Like there's those things that are occurring in the way that story in particular was iterated to me. What I'd heard from the podcast transcript and all that. What was that I never said no, and it's like, fuck, and I'm so sorry that happened, but like, we must speak our truth in the fucking moment if that's what's what, you know, I mean, we just must, we can't be reticent. We can't be quiet.
Yeah. Because I feel like what happens and I don't know what happened in this case. I'm not advocating for either side. Like, I don't even want to attempt to make sense of it, but what happens is when you don't stop it in the moment, or you don't like manifest it right there, is that later now everything's up for interpretation. You know what I mean? Right. And you will never get the results you're looking for because a group of people are going to be for it.
What's the best way to get out of a triangle?
Don't get put in one.
Bang.
Yeah.
And so if in the moment I can be true to my shit, I don't ever get put in a funny position because I'm forecasting what kind of funny shit might happen.
Yeah. But man,
goes a long way.
So many humans aren't forecasting though, man. They're just fucking going, dude.
And you know what? That's what lions are waiting for.
Yeah.
For that one to fall away from the herd.
Damn.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, fucking be aware. You'll live longer. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not even a moral platitude. It's a survival mechanism.
No, this is biological evolution. It's just what it is, man.
Yeah. That's
There's
very
function or not.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. So that's going on, and that bums me out on a big level because I hate it when there's any like crappy stuff like that regarding jiu-jitsu, because I love jiu-jitsu. I love grappling. I'm obsessed with grappling, man. It's one of the best things. Yeah, it gives it a black eye. And then, we have an academy. There's kids and there's ladies who train and men who train. And I and I'll probably catch heat for this, but I don't care, man. I actually think it's better when men and women's training are segregated and the girls train with the girls and the dudes train with the dudes, not because I'm anti-woman or whatever, or it has nothing to do with like, can women train with men?
I have a list of reasons why I think you're right.
It's the opposite sex gender thing. It fucks too much shit up, man. It's like, fuck it.
Yeah. To do it every day, it's like it does. It changes the room a bit. And that is mainly because of how the guys act. Is my
right?
feeling about it. You know what I mean? It becomes a show.
Yeah.
And that pisses me off looking at athletes. You know what I mean? I'm like, are you trying to show off or are we fucking working?
Right. Right.
But anyway, it's all part of it. We all got to course our own shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got to get out of here, bro.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Tait. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you so much coming on.
You too, man.
Be safe. Anytime you want to come on and shoot the shit, I'm always ready, man.
Let's do it again, and we'll update in a couple weeks when you and I have all the advanced knowledge about what's going on with Covita's way.
Right. We'll figure it out, dude. Thank you, brother.
All right, dude.
Have a
Love
good
you,
one.
man.
All right.
Later.
All right. Love you too, man. Later. Tait Fletcher, ladies and gentlemen. Love that guy, man. He's a stud, dude. He's one of my favorite guests to have on the show. Really appreciate having him, and glad that he was able to take the time to jump on. I'm still working out some of the video technicalities here, so please hang with us. I appreciate that. Obviously, if you hear us from the podcast on audio, it should be coming over okay, but video's a little touch and go. I'm figuring it out. I'm getting sorted out. So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. You know I love all you crazy sons of bitches. Keep supporting us. Give us a rating, review on iTunes, all that good shit. All right, until I see you again, be safe. Skeet, skeet.